And thank you for all attending. And we were just saying how great it is to have such a busy room right at the end of the day. So let's go. This session is about neurodiversity. And if I think back through my career, for those who don't know me, I'm Hector Minto. I spent 20 years working with assistive technology of all different types for physical disability, speech disability, communication disorders. And then I joined Microsoft for 9 years and led their accessibility program, reaching customers around the world. And over those 30 years, we now talk about neurodiversity. We never talked about neurodiversity and assistive technology. It was always focused on functional disability, physical, vision, hearing, learning disabilities, yes. We did spend a lot of time doing that in the communication world, but the concept of tech to support neurodiversity is new. This is cutting edge technology, and so I really hope you kind of lean in, think of good questions. If this is a neurodiverse audience, we think there are going to be good questions. So, let's also lean into that a little bit. Let's challenge. Let's think about business models. Let's think about the importance of disabled people's organizations, brilliant assistive technology companies, and universities doing research. You have essentially the full gamut of expertise here in the room. And also, you have different parts of the world represented. This is incredibly important. In all of my career, we sold to Europe and North America. Yeah? Okay? Where there was funding. Yeah? We no longer sell assistive technology to Europe and North America. In fact, we invent technology from lots of different parts of the world now, based on the needs of the locality. So we're going to get straight into it. I'm normally gloriously interruptible, but today I am not. So we're going to respect the speaker. We're going to wait and have the 7 minutes with each, and then we've got plenty of time for questions at the end. But I'm going to start with Erica. Over to you, Erica.
Great, thanks.
Press your button.
Yes.
Your red button. No, here.
Good afternoon. So I am not a great start for someone who's going to talk about technology, but here I am. My name is Erica Salomone. I'm a clinical psychologist by background. My research focuses on autism interventions. And I started off by working directly with children. And then over my career, I moved to supporting caregivers in their journey with their children. So testing and devising intervention models where we support the parent to interact with their child. With the collaboration with the World Health Organization, I was able to conduct research in high and low-income settings, looking at how these interventions models are used and scalable. But more recently, I've been interested in how technology can help us get these interventions to families. And today I will be talking about an app that delivers a caregiver intervention model. I wouldn't be able to present this work today if I hadn't a large and excellent group of collaborators from a variety of different disciplines who have contributed to this work. So why an app for a caregiver-mediated intervention? First of all, caregiver skills training methods, for those of you who are not familiar with the topic, are highly effective intervention methods. They are acceptable to families, they are effective, they work by empower parents to interact with their child to develop their own potential. So they have a lot of potential, however, due to high implementation costs, they are not really available in public health systems. One way to close the treatment gap is the initiative that the WHO led in devising a new model, the caregiver skills training model, which is a novel, fully open access intervention, which is evidence-informed, but it also is designed to be easily integratable in public health systems. So in one way, it helps close that treatment gap. At the same time, even if it's been already tested in over 40 countries globally, there are still long waiting lists. So the last mile in bridging this treatment gap consists of, or can consist of, mHealth. So interventions delivered by smartphone technology that, as you know, is everywhere, much more largely available than traditional telehealth models. It can be highly personalizable, so it can really meet the user needs, and it can be an excellent add-on to in-person care. However, existing applications that support caregivers of autistic people have not been largely designed by researchers with a sound methodology. So there is a big gap in how these interventions are developed. And our approach to innovation was to sort of keep this development process to the same high standards we would have if we were to develop a traditional in-person psychological intervention. So we applied to the development of the app this ADDI framework. The first step was to consult our users. So we asked parents of autistic children and clinicians, experts in the model, to tell us what the app should target, what could be key threats to its success, but also potential strategies to promote engagement and uptake. The next step with this information, we went to the thinking room, and we developed a concept where we combined psychoeducation with the use of hands-on practical strategies with an add-on component on parental well-being. We developed a mock-up with user experience experts so that we could bring in a variety of different assets to get that app delivering the contents we needed. Next step was to proceed to the actual development of the prototype and then to the user testing phase, where we recruited parents of autistic children from public health systems in the north of Italy. We gave them the app, we asked them to try it, and we recorded how easy it was to complete the different tasks. Overall, as you can see from the graph, the tool was rated pretty high in terms of usability, but we took stock of some feedback and suggestions and went back to the drawing room and then redesigned the prototype so that we had a fully developed prototype with a learning mode, a practice mode, and a well-being section. And this is a preview of our app, Kika, which combines a variety of different assets, from animations that illustrate the joys and the struggles of a parent of autistic children. It uses visuals from the WHO CST open access intervention, but we also added new assets such as micro-learning videos and guides to interaction, where we wanted really to showcase in a practical way to parents how they could use these interaction strategies in the everyday settings. Next step and final step was to really implement the tool at scale. So we tested it with a randomized control design. We recruited parents from all regions of Italy, and we randomized to receive either our app for 8 weeks or a waitlist control group. We collected outcomes at baseline, endpoint, and follow-up. And then at the end of the study, for ethical reasons, we also gave the app to the people in the control group. The clinical outcomes are highly rich and dense caregiver-child play interaction data, and we are in the process of analyzing them. But what I can share now is the rich qualitative feedback from users in the study. They appreciated the hands-on practical guidance. They found it particularly useful for the early phases of the journey, just after the diagnosis, but they also identified key areas for improvement. And now to the boring part, but also something I'm very passionate about, our very long to-do list for next steps. Of course, the first step is to address and improve the app in the many ways that the stakeholders have suggested. And then what we want to do is to get the dissemination of the outcomes from the current study and then proceed to a full-scale study with the ultimate goal of getting the app to a fully open access distribution to families. So for this, we are seeking partnerships with tech partners as well as community partnerships in order to work together to achieve our shared goal of getting this information and intervention to families. Thank you for your attention.
Can I ask a couple of questions, just to kind of get us talking about it? So obviously, the different approach, starting from research and then trying to scale through public sector health or through partnerships with health organizations and education organizations, or health?
For now, it's just health.
Yeah, great. Okay, so you've got two models, isn't there? There's the kind of publicly paid campaign model, or there's the commercial model of getting it out there. Do you want to kick us off with kind of thoughts on either or?
Well, I'm an academic with very, very little knowledge of how the actual
Not good
word
enough, yeah.
functions. But what my vision is that this app was developed based from a model, a WHO model that was designed to close that treatment gap. So what we want to what we're trying to design is a model where we obviously seek partnerships where this model is actually sustainable and viable at scale, but the ultimate aim is to keep it free for families.
Partnerships with public health organizations.
As well, yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Great, shall we move on to the next session? We'll definitely come back to this conversation. Who's next? 7 minutes on the clock, and we're going to go to Marina.
I'm next. Great. So let's see how this works. Okay, so good afternoon to everyone. My name is Marina, and I come from Montenegro, a small country in Europe. And I'm here standing today as a mother, firstly as a mother, then as an innovator. So as a parent, I truly believe that children learn best through play, you know. When I say, if you're happy and you know it, what would you do? When you're happy and you know it, you would clap your hands. We all know how this song continues. Why? Because we learn it through play, not from textbooks, you know. 4 years ago, I'm a mother of 3 children, and my twins used to go to the speech therapist, and that was the struggle in Montenegro, if you believe me. In Montenegro, every second child had some kind of speech issue, and we have a lack of speech therapists, we have the uneven distribution in country, and you can go to the therapist once a week. Globally, the statistic is slightly better, you know, it is 1 in 6 children, but also it's a huge problem in communication, more and more non-verbal children and children with speech impairment. So I was, to say, in trouble, and I was like, there must be a solution for children to help them what we can use at home, because if you want to have results in speech therapy, you have to be involved as a parent. Not only to go to the therapist, you know, you need to practice at home. And I was like, what can we do? So let's see, where is my slide? I got the idea. We could use screens, you know. People always blame technology. Technology, too much screen time for children, children don't speak, they use too much time. What if we could use technology in the right way? To use it safely, to use it good, and to design it responsibly, you know. And that's how Sophie the Owl, Sophie Sova in Montenegrin was born. It's a gamified speech therapy. It's actually a completely good game for children. There is no bad influence, no overstimulation, no competition, just simple play and real support for communication. It is completely interactive. It supports speech development. It is, let's see, where can I find my owl? So it is completely inclusive, play-based approach for everyone. My desire was to make speech therapy accessible for every child, you know. And now, 2 or 3 years later, I can say that we completely succeeded because Sophie Sova exists. It is completely free of charge. Everyone can use it at home, in preschools, alongside speech therapy, not instead of it, you know. You can practice at home with your child. Child can play it alone, as you wish. And what is good about Sophie, it doesn't only stimulate speech, you know, pronunciation of letters and language acquisition. It stimulates logic, it stimulates communication. It gives children a feeling of community, you know. It's not just about speaking point, it's about finding your voice, you know. Children often, starting from my Tara, children often with the speech impairment, they have a lack of confidence, you know. It's not just the speech issue. It's the issue also, social issue, in communication issue. That's something children need to improve early, not to wait. You know, when you wait, if you don't react at time, you have consequences, not only in terms of speaking part, it's also in terms of social academical success, you know, tomorrow. Why it is different? Sophie Sova is different because it was created from parents' perspective, you know, without any goals to receive any attention any popularity, you know. Our only goal and only mission was to make it good and to make it accessible to everyone, to make speech therapy, you know, equally accessible to every child. And that's why I can say it's a child-parent centered, because it was created from experience and also for the final user, not for metrics or anything else, you know. Sorry. These are our results, you know, in Montenegro. It's a small country, and this kind of results, I can say proudly, are a huge success in Montenegro. And always what I didn't expect, actually, so good reactions in just 1 year since launching, you know. But it proved to be very, 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 very good and very useful and very popular in Montenegro. You know what parents always usually say to me when we meet, you know? They usually say, this is the only game I give to my child to play on his mobile phone, you know? And I'm super proud about it, you know, because parents trust us. It's not easy to gain that trust, you know? Parents need to verify that this is good for their children. And you know, I have this here, and this is the reason why Sophie the Owl exists. Because my child can have his speech therapy anywhere, you know, in Austria, in Montenegro, as whenever it wants, you know, it is here. It can be in your pocket also, but it's too small screen. But so I think, you know, she's here always to help him, to help your child, to play on demand, you know. When your child wants to practice, you can give him, you know, these are games, they are completely personalized, you know. This is all true here. This is my Tara. This is true story about my Tara, my daughter. And you then go to the speech therapy part where you can play. It's very interactive, very interesting for children. Children usually say, I love to play with Tara, you know, because this is the true feeling of support, you know, and it's a peer support. Not a support from experts, from just parents, it's a support from their peers, you know, with their experience. We have a huge part of the game that is dedicated to the phonetic, you know, skills. That's very important. And we do it. How we do it? We do it through puzzles, you know. We stimulate the brain functions. We stimulate everything. We don't focus only on language. So you can see all these elements, no overstimulation. The design is completely adapted. You can see you are an expert, so you can say all this was done with the support of speech therapists and the psychologists, but from the perspective of children and parents. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Just a couple of quick questions, because I'm sure people are wondering, how do you make money from doing it?
Okay, this was a completely random situation, I must say. When I had the vision to prepare something like this, I didn't even dream how much effort this will take. Not only money, effort, believe me. So I was like telling people, you know, I have the idea. I think this would be very, very, very good for children. You know, we should do it. And people were like, it sounds good, but who would play it? It would be boring for children, you know? That was something they would ask me very often. But it turns out that it isn't boring at all. You know, children love it, even though it's good for them. And at that moment, there was a law in Montenegro. It's a very good law that allows big companies not to pay taxes to the state, but to invest that money in something innovative. You know, if you have innovative project, you can, if you find someone who is willing to invest in your project, you can match. And that's how we manage it, you know. We have 2 companies that invested in our game. And after that, we also received the funding from the Innovation Fund of Montenegro, supporting new part of the game that we are currently preparing. And also we are preparing a big research, you know, national research with the University of Montenegro that is going to scientifically prove how good is this game for children, how much it helps, you know, in statistics.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, firstly, congratulations. I mean, 15,000 users is impressive
for
for any
Montenegro.
assistive technology company. It's amazing. And Do you think you may start looking at funding models when you move to different countries to scale? Because your running costs will
Yes,
increase.
we are currently fundraising for the region, you know, because in the region, people in the region are speaking similar languages to our. Even now, children in the region play it, you know, it is possible, but we wanted to completely localize it because we don't give only support. We give them also cultural, you know, the moment children today don't have the privilege to listen good voices. You know, our cartoons are synchronized with voices that are very high, that are not so good for children, you know. And we use real voices of actors, and not any actors. This is Dubravka Drakic in Montenegro, one of the best actresses, you know, with the mouth. She's professor. She's professor at the faculty, and she's, you trust me, I always say, that her voice in this game is a huge benefit for our children.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, well done. Certainly, let's come back to questions, but again, well done.
Thank you.
Melissa, we're going to transition to adults, I think, yeah? Because,
Sorry.
the clicker, please. Because I think it's fair to say that as I've looked around what's happening around the world, so many of the applications are based on early intervention, developing speech. Education is a big driver around the neurodiversity space, but at some point we all become adults, hopefully, and I think you're going to share with something you've been working on in that space.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Melissa, I'm from Chile, so I'm really proud of being here from the south of the world, so far away, 27 flights of hour. Sorry, yeah, I'm really overwhelmed. Also, you can understand why I'm doing this, because I'm late diagnosed autistic. Actually, I'm using my app. I was using my app right now because I got a lot overwhelmed. I'm a mix of things that I study. I am a developer, but also history teacher, and now I'm starting my PhD on mental health at Universidad de Concepción in Chile. And I am the founder of AutiStuff, that it's a mobile app that is totally free for helping to autistic individuals, from teenagers to elder people, to improving the quality of life with a suite of tools that they can use whenever they want. How this started? Why I started doing this? During the pandemic, I decided to go to the therapy. I decided a psychiatrist because I was really bad. And I thought that it was depression, like most of people. But my psychiatrist, after an hour, told me, I don't think that you have depression. There is something else. There is something that can explain that the things that you are telling me about. Besides, it wasn't my first time with a psychiatrist. And 2 years later, I got my diagnosis. Everything started to making sense in my life. Then I looked for a psychologist, for occupational therapist, because I understand why some things are starting to be so difficult, like managing money, managing time, cleaning my house, and also be working at chaotic. But I can't find therapists that work with adults autistic, because people seems to forget that we grow up. There is something else before 18 years, you know, and it's quite difficult. I discovered so many things about myself, but I was with a lot of doubts too. Fortunately, I found a lot of other autistic adults speaking on the internet and talking about how their life didn't end when they know that they are autistic, so they only can learn about themselves. And it made that path softer, because I feel that I was not alone in that way. But I still need help, and they needed too. And also there's another thing, therapists are so expensive. And here in Europe, that you have a better prepare the theme about inclusion in work, here 70% of autistic adults are unemployed. So they can't pay for therapists or support technologies like this. Imagine what is happening in Latin America. So I'm just one autistic woman in a world full of us. As Temple Guardian says, if you want to meet one person with autism, I prefer to say autistic person, but there's other, we can talk about it later. You met only one person with autism. So my early steps were fully drive for working with other people like me, like making surveys, like started to chatting with others, like I made an Instagram account for this project, so I started to receive feedback for my idea, and then I made a first demo of this app that received like 500 feedback from the community. It's a lot of people working on that. And also, fortunately, I met a lot of psychologists, occupational therapists, speech language therapists, and other people that is also autistic. So they don't only give me feedback from these professional visions, also like a user, like a person, autistic person. But I got a lot of imposter syndrome. Actually, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is my third speaker session, and I still don't know what I'm doing here. And also, how can you start with comparing to others, you know, because there's a lot of people talking to you how you can be autistic if you work, you study, you live alone, you have a boyfriend, I don't know. But you start to compare to each other and then understand that the problem is not in you if the rest of the people don't know that autism can be shared for a lot of different ways. And I started to discover that we were forgotten for a lot of time. Yeah, we were crying alone. But now, fortunately, there's new speeches about autism. We are making visible the difficulties that people think that less needs we don't have. And we are looking for technical assistance to everyone, because technical assistance was looking for only with people with higher needs that I don't like to say in that words. I'm pretty sure that it's only different needs, not more or less. And we grew up, but we are still autistic, you know. And there is challenge. Social media is a platform that let us connect between us, but also there is a fertile soil for hate, you know. And there's also another challenge. I don't get any fun for doing this because the app is for free. So who want to invest in something that doesn't give any revenue, you know? But technical assistance is a right, and it's something about social justice. So I decided to listen to them and continue working on that. And my time is ending, so I decided to make this app. It solves a lot of things, but if you want to know more, please download it and connect with me. In the second link is my LinkedIn. The app for now is only in Spanish, but next week in English and Portuguese. Thank you.
Do you want to take another minute? You got another
well, I received.
You're having another minute.
I received another minute. Thank you. So I can tell what the app does for taking more concentrated. You can find 10 tools in the app for first pictogram and guides like social stories, how take money off at ATM, for example. Self-regulation and relaxing tools. I was using the relaxing tool here in my pocket. You have routines, you have an emotional diary for working with alexithymia, you have a to-do list, you have communication cards, a marketplace that is the one thing that makes us money because we send to therapists or schools the space for advertisement, so they subscribe to us, and within this we can making it for free. You can find legal information about Chile by now because we need to connect with other countries for receiving the information. Information about autism, and finally job search, but We are working with companies that offer jobs for autistic individuals, for caregivers, and also as there is a lot of autistic individuals that doesn't fit in traditional jobs and work like freelance, they can show what they do for free in the app. So that's it. Thank you.
Can I share what I took from this? Everything we do in early intervention and kids in schools is such important work, yeah, but eventually, the phrase used was, we will talk, work, and have a boyfriend, yeah? Like, that's why we're doing this, folks, yeah? Like, this is life, you know, life and independent living. And as you grow up, your priorities change. You leave your parents, you start to become, you need to become self-independent, you need technology that's going to help you with all of this. So this kind of different design ethic is coming through loud and clear, from play to, can I say surviving? You know, like coping?
Yeah, I think
Coping is probably is the best word. So congratulations.
Thank you.
This is really good work. Let's help you get it global. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's help you get it to Spanish-speaking people in every other part of the world. So if you're sat here today thinking, how is the Spanish community around the world with autism working right now? I'm sure we know these groups. So yeah, let's follow Melissa and support her onwards. Okay. Wow, this is an amazing panel.
It is.
Universities, mums, life, and now we turn to disabled people's organizations and essentially what can they do for us in the innovation space. Timo.
Thank you, Hector. Yes, let's see. How can I get back? Yep. So, hello, everyone. And I have to say, we are really interested in your app. So we have had some discussions already, even in the Finnish-speaking world, which is, of course, a bit smaller than Spanish-speaking world, you might say. A few words about us, because then you get the context why I'm here. We are an organization, we are a service provider for autistic adults. So we are quite a big organization, staff of 600 people, and we have around 1,400 user clients in 30 locations all over Finland. And there's also, as a CEO, I have to mention the turnover around 44 million. But we have group homes, we have supported living, individual living aspects with our clients' lives and daily activities, a lot of arts. If you go to our website, you will also find a virtual art gallery, which is kind of interesting, and also in English. I could say we are using dozens and dozens of different apps, and I'm now introducing a Finnish invention which is called Yeti tablet. And I have to say that we have no part of this company, we don't own any shares, and I'm not promoting them, we are just happy users of Yeti tablet, and you will see some pictures about that quite soon. And this is a tablet, it's an Android tablet, but it's really, really big. It's 55 or 65 inches, so it's a huge tablet. You don't carry it in your bag. It's somewhere else. And it's built for AAC, so you can use different apps with AAC, cause and effect learning, or sensory interaction, and so on. And it's quite usually there's some specialized software that is used for users who cannot use standard tablets reliably. It looks like this. Let's see. So, and you might think, well, that's another touch screen, but that's not true, because this is really, really heavy duty. The makers of this tablet, they are Finnish couple, and they have autistic children, and they wanted to have something which is bulletproof. They actually started making screens for army vehicles back in the day, and now they are making this rugged tablet for really, really tough use. And when I'm visiting our units, I always use this tablet because I want to show it and I want to punch my fist to it because it can really do it. And that's really cool. And people who are visiting us, they're like, oh, what are you doing? And it works quite well. The very interesting thing is that you can touch it with anything. You know, your hands, of course, and you can take 10 touches at the same time, so there can be many people using the screen at the same time. But you can also use paintbrushes. If there's a software that enables you to paint something, you just use your paintbrush. Don't take your paint, because that would kind of ruin the tablet. And my favorite is drumsticks. So there's some drum application, I can use drumsticks and drum on the surface, and it works, and you have speakers that can really work. And it's an Android tablet, so you can use any app that you can use in Android tablet. So that's really, really cool. And at the same time, you can use your social skills, doing things with other people, and also motor skills. And you're improving your coordination at the same time. I'm only now showing the 3 top apps we are using in Autism Foundation Finland. Number 1 is bowling. So you can have a ball, there's one blue ball on the floor, and the other one is just touching the screen, and it's really satisfactory when you get all the pins down, bowling like this. And then you get also your skills because you are picking up the balls and doing all these things and enjoying when it goes well, and you can support your friend doing the same thing. That's really, really cool. So bowling is number 1 within our 30 units. And number 2 is different puzzles and brain games you can do. There's one of our clients and one of our people working with him. So different puzzles and things you can do. It's really cool when it's in a big size, and you can really see what you're doing. And also others can join you. And this can also be tilted down, so you can use it as like a slide puck or something, different games like that. And then finger painting and other drawing color applications. There are sensory things you can do with that and use different things to make it happen. So it's really, really cool to use. And durable, as I said. Also, we are using it for karaoke. Karaoke is really, really popular. Also, it's not number 1, surprisingly, but I think it's number 4 or something, bubbling under there. And you can use it as normal TV or as a screen for anything and so on, or even calling to your colleagues and friends in other locations with a webcam. So it's really something we are really happy to use. So we didn't invent anything special, we are just using this real nice invention. And some results, well, we found out that social skills have really developed because you are doing it with your friends and colleagues, and people are using the apps together. And that was the basic idea when this couple from Finland, they started to make this, that the kids would do something together, and they succeeded. And now they are, actually this week they are starting to sell in Japan and wherever. And really, really great moments with music, with karaoke, with art, and so on. And these brain teasers, when you get a difficult puzzle and you solve it. Yeah, that's great. And I would say that for everyone, we have found a suitable app. So that's really helping the autistic community. And our clients are really happy, and our caregivers are also really happy they can work with this kind of thing and so many apps. Thank you.
Timo, could you help us understand what you did before the tablet?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting question. We had tons of different games and board games and stuff like that, and normal tablets. But the normal tablets, they are hard to endure, and something when you throw it.
They're throwable.
Yeah, exactly. And this is not throwable. Yeah. So.
You know, I remember when I worked in similar places, we would have, and this is going to sound horrific, and maybe it's still around, but we would have screens behind perspex screens, you know, so essentially locked screens, and it gave the kind of the whole environment a sense of kind of, you know, clinical setting rather than home. So I think it's great to see. What I was thinking as you were talking was maybe the way I will translate what I, not from Finnish, but to translate into the way I think about these things, is this is the democratization of technology. I mean, that Android tablet would have cost a fortune 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but I'm assuming it's relatively affordable. Can you share that?
Yeah, it's relatively affordable, and we are leasing them, so there's a really great lease plan for our units. So it's really good.
Yeah. I think it's great. And then obviously the app ecosystem is beyond just the main app, so you can download any Android app into that experience.
And then there's also a specialized world of apps for autistic people. It's really cool.
So people who are developing apps out there can start thinking about this as a new delivery platform for autistic people as well.
And maybe an autist app could
Of
also
course.
be used.
Hey, I was trying to get you there. But,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I tried to help.
Yeah.
All right, wow, fantastic.
Yeah,
thank you so much. So
Thank
we've
you.
travelled the world and we've travelled the sectors. This is fantastic. It's now time for, is that how long we've got left? We have 13 and a half minutes, folks. So I'm trying to be equitable, and so put hands up for thing, but the gentleman in the scarf here was first. You've got your button there. And could you just say who you are, please, or if you're happy to, and maybe who you're addressing it to first?
Yeah, my name is Gary Wagner, Vienna. 2 questions to our Finnish colleague. 50 years ago, an Austrian alpinist came across Yeti traces in the Himalaya. So what inspired you to call it Yeti, or is there Finnish Yeti available? So this is now coming to the serious question.
Deviation.
28 years ago, in 1998, I was member of a European multimedia jury, and we had to evaluate an outstanding Finnish DVD called Socrates for the Modern Times, and which was even translated into English and became an export article. Could you please adapt it to an autistic audience? That would be funny for me.
That's a great question. First of all, the name. I'm not sure where did they come up with the name, but now it's Yeti tablet, so it's like maybe it's a Yeti, so it's something that is big and you can use it in the...
It's the shortest Finnish word I've ever heard.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes. We are working on the language though. But,
Finnish joke. Okay, come on. Who was next? I saw a hand in the middle, please.
Hi, I'm Natasha. I'm from Australia. It's a long way away. I absolutely loved hearing all the positives of all these apps, and I genuinely was delighted by all of them. I don't want to bring any negativity into this, but I think we do need to always have the really important conversation regarding autism, that multiple studies have unfortunately shown that autistic people are more susceptible to screen addiction, or I'm not sure what the correct term is. I'm not a researcher. But yeah, I have done some dives when I do my work in the UK, and unfortunately, everything I've sort of come across in terms of parents and such have confirmed these studies. So I'd really like to know how people are balancing the positives of screens versus the negative effects of early, especially in younger children.
So it's open to anyone, but would anyone like to lead on that?
I can make a start. So our app is directed at caregivers. And the idea is that caregivers will use it, and it's not going to be shown to the child. But I totally, I share your worries and concerns in general. I was actually worried about making parents addicted to the app, because it's not necessarily something we want to necessarily increase. But I also see the value of having that something that is so powerful in your pocket and available, and to use it, in everyday settings, in a naturalistic setting. And I think, you want to comment on that, but I really appreciated that quote you made, that example of that parent who said, this is the only app I allow my child to use. So I think it speaks to the fact that probably within what you are delivering, you are also conveying the idea that we want to promote in-person interactions without any technology, and that's, there are 2 ways that it can be compatible. That's my view.
If I can continue with this, people usually say screens, blame screens, when they say he has autism, too much screen time. That's the first sentence you can hear. If your child has a speech impairment, it's always on the phone. It is always, and my children, they never use phones. Never. They would watch a TV, cartoons. It is a Peppa Pig cartoon, for 10 minutes a day. So they were like twins, and they were always playing, always in a hurry, It wasn't the blame on the screens, And I was the mother by a book, I'm not the mother that gives a phone to each child. And I was thinking about it, we live in the digital era. That's the reality, We can't escape technology, but we can select and choose how we are going to use the technology. And we have to, it's our responsibility, to teach our children that this is a tool, That's not a game, that's not a friend, it's a tool. You don't need to socialize on a phone. You don't need to, do everything on a phone. But you can use it for your purpose, to help you, to improve your knowledge. And I think if we give to a child a phone and we give them Sophie Sova, the game, that child is not going to be addicted to it. Firstly, because it is completely designed to be good for a child. And secondly, it is very hard to play it, It's not like you watch it and you are not responding, you're just watching and you're overstimulating. No, you have to give your feedback, you have to be interactive, you have to follow, you have to actively listen. And we have one module that is dedicated to music. You have to listen to music. You have to, when you listen to music, you have to follow it with your motorics. It's not easy to play. And a child is never going to be addicted with it, And if we teach our children to use, to choose, to be responsible parents, then our children tomorrow are going to know to use an app like this, if they need help. You have children with autism, they probably are going to use this app, when they grow up. And if you have a child with autism and you give him YouTube just to entertain him or to calm him down, that child is not going to, tomorrow it's not going to be, a person who knows what is good for it, We have, in my logic, we have to start building our children, their confidence, their sense of good and bad, when they are small. And we have to deal with technology. Unfortunately, technology is not the enemy if we use it responsibly. It can be a strong ally for inclusion if we use it right,
Yes.
Well, two things. For first, I decided to work with teenagers behind because I think that children need more physical helps currently. But there's a lot of people asking me about why don't teach for children. I think that the caregiver is the one that has to use the app with the children. But for second, it's pretty boring. It's like using a calculator. It's the same thing like that. It's for this I told that it's utilities. It's like the calendar, the calculator, and I don't know anyone that has to scroll the calculator. So the same with autism. It's useful, but not fun.
Please.
Yeah, we have so many we are working with adult autistic people, and this is a problem also with autistic adults because they are victims of grooming and that kind of stuff. So we are having a lot of discussions in Finnish society about this, and also within our units we are talking with our clients a lot how to prevent this from happening. But it's a big problem also, but we have to address to it.
I'm just going to put a call out for everything that's on your mainstream tech. So if you all press Windows key N on your PCs right now, you'll find a Pomodoro timer that's built into standard Windows. It's available. Now, do we know? I love your surprised look. Thank you for doing that. The message didn't make it to Australia. But here's the thing. I do think as we move into the workplace, the question you're asking, the behavior of an employee who's maybe kind of on their screens and not attending to task and all these sorts of things, these become workplace questions. And then what are the workplace tools where we can start, putting strategies in place to help people self-manage time and those sorts of things. And there are going to be third-party things, but there are going to be things built into mainstream tech. But how do we make sure people are aware of them? So Windows key N, open up your notifications. You'll see a lovely Pomodoro timer right there in every computer in the world. Okay, next question. Oh, and by the way, that was led by neurodiverse teams at Microsoft, designing that need into the product. So again, representation, driving, and building tools. I've just got to say this as well. If yours could be some of the first apps that have time management settings built into them, then the rest of the parental world would love it. Thank you very much. Okay, next question. Somebody must have one. We've only got 4 minutes and 40 seconds just to go back to timing, if that helps. We have time for a question. Okay, I will offer a question. So in the UK right now, we have workplace accommodation services around disability, which have more than doubled in the last couple of years because of neurodiversity. They've said out loud now that there's a societal cost of including people who are neurodiverse in the workplace. How do you feel about the messages that sends out? Yeah, I'd love to dig into that just for a minute, if that's useful. I'm turning to the researcher because you're
Yeah,
first in any
I'm-
conversation.
Yeah, I'm stretching from my comfort zone
Sure,
of
sure.
preschool, but I think we really need to shift. I mean, words mean things, and they carry messages with it. So when we talk about costs, I think it does send us the wrong message. I think we need to flip the discourse that we are having at the different, in the different age ranges we're working, to think about the opportunities that are probably hidden behind these costs. And I really like, as I'm a developmental psychologist, so I really like this idea of, the lifespan that we are representing on this table, because it is true that it's by setting some foundations early on that you can really promote independence and then have these individuals really be part of the society in a way that we don't need to stick on this binary logic of, is it costly, is it cost effective?
Can I just maybe clarify then, is it not the change of costs to society? So if we look historically around disability, and I said it at the opening, technology used to be aimed at sensory needs, as in vision, hearing, physical abilities, functional technology, but now we move into more neurodiverse-led solutions. There's an obvious increasing cost to governments in terms of the accommodations or the employers that they're paying for. So we have to have a positive, I think you're right, we've got to have a positive conversation about, great, these are costs that we've been ignoring for some time, and we've got to also put training and everything in place. But politicians are politicians, yeah? And chancellors are chancellors is probably the best thing I can say, as in, or treasuries are treasuries. So is there any concern? I mean, we've got 2 free apps here, essentially, but is the cost human cost rather than technology cost, and is there a shift of mentality there that we need to move towards? Oh, you're nodding, so I'm coming to you now. And we've got 1 minute 54 seconds.
Well, about that, it's something interesting because I try to get any funding for governmental, because this is it's a free app. I say well, you can pay for training for using this. Yeah. It's no funding. But how you can continue with working with this, because it's really hard. How can you provide social security if you don't want to invest on therapists, you want to invest on people that are trying to help each other. So I don't know, it's quite hard, the things that you are working through. Sorry, I'm really overwhelmed for all of this. So I'm just messing up all the Grammarly.
It's allowed.
I know. Obviously, this is not my first language, obviously, but I forgot the main question already. Also, I have ADHD as well as many of autistic individuals. I have 2 things living in my mind and fighting each other every day.
Tim, have you got any comments on it? Or no, I mean, so I just think we should be prepared for these hard questions. I really do. As a society, we've got to be prepared to have the question and justify the investment.
Microphone.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I did it. I had a whole hour without doing that, so that was really good. I was just saying we should be ready to have the hard conversations about this. Maybe I could just wrap up and say neurodiversity and technology sit really nicely together. And that's not going to change. So this world is not going to change. We're not going to get less digital, I don't think, anytime soon. Workplaces, education, care settings, home settings are increasingly providing technology that can really support neurodiverse audiences. As long as we have neurodiverse people and their parents and amazing researchers and great organizations having a collective, collaborative conversation about solving the challenges we want to solve. So let's all give this amazing panel a fantastic round of applause.
Thank you.
It's finite.
Did great.
We need to continue